Welcome to another slow, quiet descent into the soft folds of history. Tonight, we'll take a calming journey into the very heart of the eternal city, Rome, as it once stirred awake beneath the pale light of dawn. Let this be your invitation to relax, to leave behind the buzz of the modern world. No bright lights, no alerts, no obligations. Just the gentle hum of the past, whispering quietly across time. As you settle in and prepare to drift off, picture yourself somewhere far from now. Not in your room, not on your street, but among ancient stones and sleeping alleyways. A world where carts creaked instead of cars, where morning fires replaced modern switches, and where time itself seemed to move more slowly. It is Rome in the 2nd century CE. The city is grand, to be sure. Capitals, temples, marble facades. But beneath the triumphal arches and imperial palaces, life continues at a quiet rhythm. People wake early. Streets echo with soft footsteps. The air still holds the coolness of night. The sun is just beginning to stretch across the rooftops. Tonight, or rather, this morning, we will take our time walking these streets. We begin with the intimate sounds and textures of dawn in the poorer districts, where bakers knead their dough and porters roll back wooden shutters. We'll follow the lives of those who stir before the city fully wakes. Then, we'll shift gently into the life of a Roman statesman. Not a Caesar or conqueror, but a man who wrote and watched. Pliny the Younger, a voice from the past whose letters have survived nearly 2 millennia, will be our quiet companion. Later, we'll descend beneath the cobbled lanes into the hush of archaeology, the hidden Rome that lies buried beneath layers of time. Here, in the underground stillness, forgotten structures and rituals rest in the deep silence of centuries. And finally, we will rise again, into the calm order of a patrician villa. Clean mosaics, trimmed hedges, and quiet breakfasts. The world of Rome's upper class, seen not in its decadence, but in its private rhythm. Let the journey unfold gently. Let the past lull you. There is nothing to do, nothing to remember. Just listen, just drift. Now, the streets are waking. Let us begin. The year is 117 CE, and Rome lies under the still hush of early morning. Most of the city still sleeps, cradled in the cool, bluish light just before sunrise. But in one small corner of the Subura, the densely packed, working-class neighborhood, nestled between the Capitoline and Esquiline hills, a door creaks open. Imagine yourself here. You're no one of great importance, just another figure moving through the rhythms of the city. Your role tonight is not to act, only to notice. You are the eyes and ears of the quiet listener. A walker, a witness, nothing more. The stones beneath your feet are uneven and worn. These paving slabs, some chipped, others sunken, have carried millions of footsteps. Even now their surface holds yesterday's dust and the damp scent of spilled wine, soot and old ash. You pass beneath the tall, leaning structures of the insula, multi-level apartment blocks, built hastily and sometimes perilously. The walls are stuccoed but stained. Rain has left long streaks down the surface. Clotheslines stretch from window to window, heavy with tunics, shawls and rags that never quite seem to dry. A cat slips across your path. It pauses, glances at you with disinterest, then melts into the shadows. A baker's door is open now. From inside the dim taberna, the warm scent of flour, yeast, and singed wood escapes like a quiet greeting. The baker has been at work for hours already. By Roman custom, the first loaves must be ready before dawn. He stands near his domed oven, sleeves rolled up, his hands white with flour. His young apprentice moves slowly, sleepy, carrying trays of flatbread to a low table near the street. You stop, take in the aroma. There's something timeless in it. The smell of work, of heat, of hunger preparing to be satisfied. Even now, before the sun has climbed over the rooftops, people begin to queue. A servant girl with a coin purse tucked in her sash. An older man with a cloth bag for carrying loaves. A boy, too young to buy but old enough to watch. Down the street, a fountain gurgles. Rome's aqueducts carry fresh water from distant springs, and each neighborhood depends on these fountains. At this hour, it's a woman who arrives first, hair wrapped in cloth, shoulders straight despite the clay amphora balanced against her hip. She fills the jar slowly, watching the water rise. When it's full, she wipes her palms on her skirt and lifts it again with a practiced motion. A little farther on, a cart squeaks across the paving stones. The driver, bearded, wrapped in a cloak, clicks his tongue to his mule. The cart carries vegetables wrapped in straw, their colors dulled by the dim light. He will stop near the forum to set up his stall, but for now, he moves through the narrow streets like a shadow with purpose. You pause at a crossroads where 4 streets meet. The Romans called it a compitum. A small shrine stands there, dedicated to the household gods of the neighborhood, the Lares. Someone has left a tiny offering, a garland of leaves, a smear of oil. Nothing grand, just a nod to unseen protectors. As the sun climbs slowly, the noise builds, but never bursts. A smith begins to hammer, far off. A dog barks, then goes quiet again. A door slams. Someone sneezes. Children stir on rooftops, where they slept to avoid the heat of night. You make your way toward the forum, still wrapped in haze. The closer you draw, the more grand the surroundings. Walls higher, doors are heavier. The insula give way to shops, tabernae carved into porticos. Their shutters now unfastened, merchants prepare to display goods. Fish, olive oil, wax tablets, cheap sandals. Today will be like most others. Trade, talk, the slow mechanics of a living city. You step aside as 2 slaves carry a sedan chair, empty for now, its cushions tied down. Their feet slap the stones in practiced rhythm. Neither speaks. Finally, you reach the edge of the Forum Romanum. Columns rise from the mist, pale and monumental. The Temple of Saturn, the Arch of Septimius Severus, the Senate House, all sleepily bathed in the grey light of morning. A priest in white robes moves slowly across the flagstones. He stops at a small altar, lifts a bowl of incense, and lights it. The smoke curls skyward, slow and fragrant. Pigeons scatter as a breeze rolls through. The city stretches, yawns, and somewhere, far off, a bell rings. Not the bells of modern cities, but the clang of metal on metal. A signal, a start. You sit on a stone bench near the edge of the square. The heat of the day has not yet begun. Around you, life collects itself. Not all at once, but piece by piece. The rhythm is patient, as it has always been. And soon, we will meet a man who once walked these same stones, not in obscurity, but with calm purpose. Let us drift into his story next. Let us now turn from the murmurs of the waking city to the life of a man who once walked its streets, not in the company of crowds, but in the contemplative hush of his own thoughts. A man known not for conquest, but for correspondence. Not for empire, but for observation. His name was Gaius Plinius Caecilius Secundus. To us, he is Pliny the Younger. Born in the year 61 CE in the northern town of Comum, now known as Como, near the Italian Alps, Pliny belonged to a family of means and standing. His early life was touched by privilege, but also by loss. His father died when he was still a boy, and his upbringing was shaped by his uncle, Pliny the Elder, a naturalist, naval commander, and prolific writer who would later meet his end while investigating the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Pliny the Younger was a child of letters. Trained in rhetoric and law, he moved through the corridors of Roman power with poise and precision. But unlike many of his peers, Pliny was not swept up by ambition's fire. He was measured, deliberate. He lived through some of Rome's most volatile years, through emperors who ruled with cruelty and those who ruled with care, and yet he survived with dignity intact. What we know of him comes largely from his letters, over 200 of them, carefully written, polished, and preserved. In them, he offers glimpses into both public life and private routine. He writes of his villas, of dinners and debates, of illness and architecture. And he writes often, in clear Latin, with a tone that is intelligent, but never pompous. Imagine him now, in one of his countryside homes, perhaps his estate in Laurentum, a quiet seaside retreat not far from Rome. The sea is calm, the garden is clipped. He sits in a shaded portico, dressed in a soft tunic, his wax tablets resting on a low table beside a bronze oil lamp. A secretary sits near him, stylus in hand. Pliny leans forward slightly, dictating in a gentle but confident tone. Today I rose early, before the sun, and walked in the colonnade. The sea was still, and the air faintly salted. His letters are never dramatic. Even when discussing the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, where his uncle perished, his account is cool, restrained, focused more on the behavior of the clouds and the human response than on spectacle. He writes of people fleeing, of roofs collapsing, of ash falling like snow. But his tone is calm, observational. He records, he reflects. Pliny's writing is often about balance, balance between duty and leisure, between the city and the country, between ambition and contemplation. He served as a senator, a governor, and a legal advocate, but he also treasured solitude. In his letters, he speaks with pride of waking early to write, of taking walks in his garden, of studying under the gentle warmth of a spring sun. He is concerned with virtue, with posterity, with reputation, not in a vain sense, but in the Roman sense of living a life worthy of memory. It is a fine thing, he writes, to have the approval of one's contemporaries, but even finer to have the esteem of posterity. Pliny wrote not just to document, but to communicate. Many of his letters are addressed to friends, Tacitus, Suetonius, and others. He writes to ask advice, to give it, to share stories. One such letter, sent to the historian Tacitus, describes the death of his uncle in vivid yet restrained detail. Another, sent to the Emperor Trajan, requests guidance on how to handle a peculiar group of people in Bithynia, the Christians. He notes that they meet quietly at dawn, sing hymns, and take oaths not to commit crimes. He is unsure whether to punish them or simply observe them. In this, too, we see Pliny's temperament. He is curious but cautious, empathetic, yet bound by duty. He does not rush to judgment. He seeks reason. And yet, his letters are filled with moments of warmth. He praises his wife Calpurnia for her intellect and affection. He writes with tenderness of his slaves and staff. He delights in his library, his garden, the sea breeze. His life, though shaped by politics and law, is centered on beauty and thought. He writes, "Time, as it slips away, deceives us, and nothing is ours except time." There is something deeply modern in that, something timeless, a recognition that days vanish, that letters endure, that memory is a kind of immortality. As Pliny aged, he continued to write. He composed a collection of letters he hoped would outlive him. He edited them, ordered them, polished them. These were not casual notes. They were crafted, intended for an audience beyond his own century. And now, here you are, listening, remembering. Let his voice fade now, like ink softening on parchment. His footsteps once echoed in the same forum you walked this morning. His eyes once watched the same sunrise. His life was not heroic, not epic, but it was observed, and it was written. Let us move on gently to what lies hidden beneath those very streets he knew so well. Now, let us step away from the familiar rhythm of life above ground and descend, gently, slowly, into the layers beneath. Beneath the bustling streets and sunlit courtyards, Rome holds its memories in silence. The past rests here, not vanished, but sleeping. For as long as Rome has existed, it has buried its own history. The city is not built on rock or soil alone, but upon itself. Every time a structure fell to disuse, or disaster, or change in fashion or faith, something new was built atop it. And so, the ground you walk upon today is not merely a street. It is a palimpsest, a layered parchment of stone and dust. Imagine standing near the Basilica of San Clemente. At street level, you see a beautiful 12th century church. Cool stone walls, golden mosaics, flickering votive candles. But what lies beneath it is something far older. Descend slowly down worn stone stairs, and you enter a 4th century church, once vibrant, now a quiet shadow. Frescoes cling faintly to the walls. The air shifts. You hear only the occasional drip of water. The space feels close, like a whisper held too long. But there is more. Another set of steps leads you deeper still into the 1st century. Here lies a Roman townhouse, dim, cramped, its walls revealing both utility and devotion. And beside it, tucked in the darkness, a Mithraeum. The Mithraeum is a mystery. Dedicated to the god Mithras, these underground temples served as places of secret initiation. They are always hidden, always quiet. Small altars, stone benches, carved reliefs of Mithras slaying a bull, surrounded by zodiac symbols and cryptic figures. The rituals of this cult were known only to the initiated, all male, often drawn from the ranks of soldiers or officials. Meetings held in secrecy, perhaps at night or dawn. Oaths sworn, meals shared. Lessons passed not through books, but through silent gestures, repetition, and layered symbolism. Here, in this space, beneath a church, beneath a street, you are surrounded by 3 centuries of faith. Roman gods, Persian-inspired mystery cults, Christian hymns, all occupying the same space, just inches apart in stone and soil. The city didn't forget. It built. Elsewhere in Rome, beneath the busy piazza of San Giovanni in Laterano, archaeologists discovered a lavish Roman villa. Its floors paved with intricate mosaics, geometric patterns in black and white. Beneath that, traces of an earlier structure, even older. Fragments of pottery, charred beams, the remnants of fire, long cold. And farther still, beneath the Capitoline Hill, tunnels carved for drainage in the early Republic. They wind like veins beneath the ancient forum, silent, cool, damp. Few enter, fewer remain. Time moves differently underground. There is no sun to mark the hours, only dust and stone and silence. Artifacts discovered here tell stories not recorded in marble. A child's doll, carved from ivory. A broken wax tablet, still bearing the faint scrape of a stylus. Clay oil lamps, some decorated with lions, others with laughing faces. Forgotten objects once held in ordinary hands. These are not the relics of emperors or generals. These are the lives that history did not name. But the earth remembers. Imagine standing in one of these low corridors, the ceiling barely above your head, the walls rough with age. Around you, the scent of damp earth, faint mold, cold stone. You hold a small lantern, its light flickering gently. It does not reveal everything, just enough. Every so often, a carved inscription catches the light. A name, a prayer, a dedication, etched by someone who likely never thought themselves important, but whose words remain, even if the voice has faded. The layers beneath Rome are more than architecture. They are a collective exhale, a place where time does not progress, but pools. And just as gently as we came, we now return upward, slowly, one level at a time, stone by stone, out of the hush of memory, back into the breath of the waking world. Ahead lies a villa, a space of light and quiet luxury. Let us rise there now, into the upper reaches of Roman life. We rise now from the silence of the underground. Slowly, softly, we return to the surface. But not to the narrow alleys or the sooty walls of the insulae. Instead, let us pass through a different gate. One that leads not to the crowded streets of laborers, but to a quiet villa nestled among sculpted gardens and shaded porticos. Here, the air is different, cooler, scented faintly with rosemary and rose oil. Beyond the villa's outer wall, a gravel path curves gently toward an open atrium. At its center lies a shallow pool, catching the first blush of morning light. The marble columns surrounding it are pale and clean, casting long shadows over mosaic floors. This is the home of a Roman patrician, a senator perhaps, or a wealthy landowner. His name is not important, not now. What matters is the rhythm of his morning. He does not wake with the sun. He wakes before it. Inside his sleeping chamber, the shutters are gently opened by a servant. No jarring noises, no sudden light, just the soft sweep of linen curtains and the scent of warmed water for washing. His first hour is quiet. He sits, wrapped in a simple tunic, on a cushioned stool beside a brazier. A slave brings him a light breakfast. Olives from the grove, cheese wrapped in fig leaves, a small loaf of honeyed bread, and watered wine in a polished clay cup. He eats slowly, without conversation. Outside, in the garden, the birds have begun to stir. Sparrows in the laurels, doves on the roof tiles. Their soft chatter carries through the open-air rooms. By now, the villa is waking, silently, gracefully. Slaves move through the hallways barefoot. One lights oil lamps along the main corridor. Another draws back curtains. In the kitchen, a cook begins preparations for the midday meal. Fish laid in salt, herbs ground with a pestle, loaves shaped for the oven. The master walks through the peristyle, hands clasped behind his back. He pauses to inspect a statue, Venus or perhaps Apollo, bathed in morning light. He stops at a bench, sits, thinks. He may dictate a letter here, or quote a line of Virgil aloud, not for anyone to hear, but simply because the line suits the stillness. His steward arrives, scroll in hand, the day's accounts, a list of visitors, perhaps a request from the land manager at his estate in Etruria. perhaps an update on a legal matter pending in the Senate. Yet for now, he need not act, only observe. There is beauty in this kind of order, not ostentation, but harmony. Every marble tile has been laid with care, every tree pruned to balance shade with light. The sound of running water from a fountain never ceases, but never calls attention to itself. It simply flows. In a side chamber, the household's children study with a Greek tutor. Their voices rise and fall as they repeat declensions, softly, respectfully, the language of Plato on the lips of Roman youth. The lady of the house reclines on a couch in the triclinium. She is reading, perhaps a letter from a friend in Athens, or a poem copied carefully by a hired scribe. Her maid braids her hair. Outside, the scent of citrus trees drifts through the doorway. This is a life defined by leisure, but not idleness. The hours are accounted for. The mind is occupied, though not hurried. As the sun rises higher, the master retires to his study, a shaded room with scrolls stacked in niches, a wax tablet ready for notes, and a small bust of Cicero on the shelf. He writes, perhaps a reply to a friend, perhaps a treatise on law, perhaps nothing at all, just notes, ideas. Through a side window, you glimpse the countryside beyond the villa walls. Cypress trees stretch into the distance. A laborer walks beside a donkey laden with grain. Even here, in this world of marble and mosaics, the earth still provides. The master stands. He stretches. He watches the dust dance in a shaft of light. And then he steps back into the atrium. The house is fully awake now. The kitchen buzzes in low tones. Slaves prepare to receive the day's guests. A magistrate will arrive to discuss a dispute. A cousin may join for lunch. Perhaps a poet will recite something new, standing by the garden pond. But for now, all is calm, ordered, balanced. Even at the top of Roman society, there is a kind of ritual, a quiet adherence to rhythm, a reverence for beginnings. And in this moment, with no pressure, no urgency, no voice raised, you sense the true measure of Roman peace. Not in conquest, but in stillness. Let this final space rest in your thoughts. Let its harmony wrap around you. You've seen the poor stir from straw beds. You've walked beside scholars and secret rituals. And now, you've heard the fountains murmur in a patrician garden. It is time to leave this place, gently. And so, our walk through ancient Rome draws to a close. The sky is bright now. The city is fully alive. But you have moved quietly through its slowest, softest hours. You listened to bakers and birds. You stood in the shadow of senators. You descended into the silent, layered memory of stone. And you rose again to the calm of carved courtyards and mosaic paths. Let the sound of Rome fade now. Let its voices grow distant. You are not needed there anymore. The past can rest. And so can you. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Let your breath match the pace of a sleeping city. Nothing is urgent. Nothing is waiting. You are safe. You are still. Good night, and rest well.